Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much. Archie Kumsides, who would have been here normally to do it. I'm the chairman of the company, but Archie's very busy down in Perth finalizing the bankable feasibility study. So moving from sushi to guinea fowl, here we are, 5.1 million ounces in reserve now in Cardinal. We've moved that up from 4.7 million a few months ago. Corporately, our share register, we still got Goldfields on there who bought on market about 11%. 40% of our register pretty much is North Americans, and the Australians amount to about 34%. We've got a lot of coverage now, about 8 analysts covering our shares, and we've got $25 million still in the bank. Of importance, we've got about 110 million options, which are in the money right now, and deeply in the money. They're 15-cent options, which expire in September, and we're starting to receive checks from people, so that'll help augment our coffers. Those are 5-year options that were put out when the company first started as a one-for-one. The board, we've augmented our board of late with Ken Thomas and Trevor Schultz. Both are mine builders. Ken was ex-Barrick, about 40 years experience internationally building mines around the globe. Trevor Schultz is about the same, 40 years experience. I worked with Trevor on the Centamin board where he built Sakari, and he also worked in Ghana for 6 years and built Obuasi and other operations. He's like a little demigod. When we take him down to Ghana, everybody wants to meet him, which is pretty interesting. I think most of you know where the location is. It's in northern Ghana, right 30 kilometers east of the town of Bolgatanga. It's a bitumen road that services all of West Africa, and most of the mines, equipment would have gone along that road to build the operations that are in West Africa. Water's only 7 kilometers away. It's an all-year stream called the White Volta, and hydroelectric power comes up from the center there at Lake Volta up into Burkina Faso. That line's about 25, 30 kilometers away. We'll use hydropower and backup gensets on the operation. The other thing that's important, we also have granted a mining license for 15 years, which is renewable. And that license, we're in the throes right now of putting in an updated environmental permit so then we can receive our operating permit as part of our go-ahead strategy. We're also working very closely with the government, who's supportive of what we're doing. The president's from the south, the vice president's from the Bolgatanga region, and we're looking at getting in place a stability agreement. So we're working closely with the government on that. The financials, these are the PFS numbers. We opted for 9.5 million ton per annum operation. That was the best return on equity compared to sizing. We had a 4.5, 7, and 9.5. The operation could be bigger, but we stopped drilling out the deposit at the moment. You can see the numbers we used for the estimate of the gold in the pit was about $1,100, and our financials numbers were $1,250. What's important is the payback is less than 2 years of 414 US, and our bankable study, the numbers aren't much different than this. A pretty decent IRR after tax as well, and that's with the current numbers, no input with the potential for a stability agreement in that as yet. The all-in sustaining cost, $770 for life of mine. And what's important too is the starter pit here. It's 2.5 years worth of about 350,000 ounces per year, reverting back to 300,000 ounces per year after that. And with that, we've got a very low strip ratio, 0.5 to 1. The ore starts at surface, so from day one, there's no pre-strip, it's right into the mill. And for life of mine is about 1.4. That'll move up a little bit during the BFS, but not much. It's 14-year life, and as I said, 300,000 ounces per year, which is a good base load number. Head grade is low. That's important to note, but because I'll go through the metallurgy a little bit later, we have the opportunity to upgrade that number with the concentrate that we're producing. Just a schematic of how robust the project is with regard to lower gold prices. You can see NPVs and IRRs are still decent, even at like $1,100 gold. Just on to the license there. I don't think there's in Namdini over in the east side of that license, that's granted for 15 years. We've intersected during our sterilization some high-grade narrow veins as well, which would augment the feed to the mill. They're not going to be substantial, but they are within 300 or 400 meters of the pit, so that'll also help our economics. Importantly, if you look at this section, this is a long section. You can see the length is about 1 kilometer long. It's about 350 meter wide body itself. But the starter pit, you can, toward the left there, that's the high grade material or higher grade, and it runs sort of 1.8 to 2 grams for the first year and then reverts to about 1.3, 1.4 grams for that starter pit. And then we have a series of nested shells which eventuate into the life of mine pit there. So it's still open at depth. We've drilled down to 600 meters vertical. It's still open. It's open to the north and the south, I think more favorably to the south than the north. And we're also finding more gold on the property, which I'll show you in a minute. In cross section, 350 meter wide ore body. Again, you can see the starter pit and the life of mine pit there. We've stopped drilling. We've done about 120,000 meters of drilling. 70% of that's diamond core, all oriented, all cut. SG's done, all the things that are important for these types of deposits to make sure it's accurate. Importantly now, the metallurgy. We start, instead of life of mine, a whole of ore, sorry, it's not 9.5 million tons all the way through. So when people look at our capital number, they say that's too light. Well, in fact, what we have is 2 plants. We have 9.5 million tons to the flotation cells, and then after that, it's only 750,000 tons after that. So what we're doing is we crush, grind, and then we make a flotation concentrate with the pyrite. The gold is actually in fractures in the pyrite. So we're dissolving that, breaking that pyrite down and then exposing the gold for the cyanide. So what we start with is, say, 1.1 grams per ton in the ore. It gets upgraded to 15 grams per ton in the concentrate. So on the deck, you've got half-ounce dirt, which you're now regrinding down to 15 microns or whatever the number is. We're optimizing that right now. Exposes the gold, and then it's basically a straight CIL circuit after that. We also have gravity gold in the starter pit of about 20% and life of mine about 10. So that's really why, yes, it is a low-grade deposit. It's big, single pit, low-grade deposit. But with this key here, it's the same that we had at Sakari. Perseus is the same. We're lucky that it's actually contained in the pyrite. It floats very quickly. We're getting 95 to 98% of the gold in that concentrate, and then it gives you a good head start for the regrind and the dissolving in cyanide and extraction into your doré. Just briefly on the regional exploration side, we've got the Nangadi shear. Namdini's down at the bottom. I don't think there's a point. Down at the bottom here. There's the Nangadi shear that moves up toward the northeast. There's a couple of little mines along there. And what we've now discovered on the eastern side of those tenements, 24 kilometers north of Namdini, is a totally new corridor, which is undercover. We're doing a lot of geochem, IP, magnetics, and we're finding that there are some very interesting anomalies. One of them called Ndongo East, where we're getting 3 to 5 meters worth of 3 to 15 grams from 10 meters of surface. We've only drilled down to 60 meters right now. We've seen it along 1.5 kilometer strike length, and I'll be down there again in 2 weeks' time to look at more drilling and further exploration. And a quick timeline, working to get the PFS or the BFS done by the end of June, so everybody's diligently working away, and decision to mine by the end of the year, and production by 2022. It's about an 18-month to 2-year build. Good, thanks.